Whew. Well, that was close. Almost a bike drop.
I recently attended a day of adventure bike training at the Sedlak Off-Road School. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, I'm just giving them credit. The following video is an overview of some warm-up and single track practice that we did before finishing the day off with a longer trail ride, which will be the subject of a later video. We are just returning after our initial break after the first bit of practice. They've added some slow speed maneuver practice on the infield and changed our route a little bit. I'll show you the first lap around so you can get a sense of what the practice is like. As you can tell, I was very close to that last cone. That happened a few times until I figured out that I was, for some reason, target fixating on that last cone, even though the earlier turns were, if anything, more difficult. And I managed to fix that by consciously correcting for that mistake. I had my first off-road bike drop on this bike as I was trying to address feedback given to me by the instructor while turning. And there were simply too many things going on in my head, and I got distracted and stalled the bike.
Whew. Oh. There we go.
Remember, keep those fingers on the clutch so it doesn't stall on you, okay?
Yeah.
As you can tell, dropping the bike during practice like this is not a big deal and is pretty much expected, and the show goes on. Here's a later attempt on that last cone where I was consciously making sure to not target fixate and look where I'm supposed to look, and it went a lot better.
Yeah, I think for some reason I was target fixating in that in that last corner. That was actually my best time coming out of that, and I was intentionally focusing on looking where I'm supposed to.
They added a step to the route where we would accelerate and then intentionally hard brake with the rear to cause a slide, and the goal was to slide in a straight line without the rear fishtailing in either direction.
Okay, that actually was a bit better. I was able to sustain through it without losing the rear.
I had given it a shot a few times and wasn't able to. I was getting the fishtailing and I had to let off the brake. This time was the first time it kind of worked well.
In the past I would brake for a bit, stabilize, and then brake again. I actually I was braking all the way to a stop there. and I was able to control the rear without letting off of the brake. Elbows, elbows, elbows. Yeah, same again. It worked out. Not quite sure what I'm doing. Sort of gut feel.
Next, we moved on to going around in a loop in a little sort of single track like practice area next to the flag track. We did that a few times, around and around, and eventually switched direction, with the instructor giving us feedback here and there. Here's the instructor giving me some personalized feedback.
Nice, nice. Only one little thing. I know you're also getting tired, so the legs start too far forward, but just make sure you don't let your knees go forward.
Yeah, I do have a tendency to lean to bend too much. Yeah.
Come straight, and don't focus so much about the legs. Focus more about pushing those hips back. It's gonna allow you to have your legs straight. But if you have your knees in, then you can't stick out your hips, right?
Makes
How do
sense.
you like that camera?
It's pretty good. So far. Yeah.
I'm gonna buy it. I'm done with the GoPros. It always turns off on me, and I heard that one's the best.
I can't compare like that. I haven't used it enough, but it's working fine so far, at least.
Good.
So.
Oh yeah. All right, senor. Work
Cool.
on your legs, okay?
Will do.
Legs a little bit taller.
We then moved on to trying out a single track trail, a very small one, still pretty easy, but kind of a proper trail. I'll take you around it once so you can see it.
Trying to use my rear brake and not just the front brake to practice that.
We were then encouraged to take a little bit of a harder line as we reached the bottom of the hill, instead of going for the simple right line. And I chose to do that, and on my first attempt I accidentally slid the rear out and I almost had a bike drop.
Whew. Wow, that was close. Almost a bike drop.
My second attempt was better, but I still didn't get the line that I wanted and ended up slightly outside of the path.
Okay. It's really hard to moderate the rear brake. Okay, not a bike drop, but definitely not a good turn.
I eventually got it right and was able to do this repeatedly in a very controlled fashion. I was chickening out a little bit by only using my front brake as opposed to my rear brake because I find it much easier to moderate. That's something for me to practice.
Possibly without stalling. We shall see. Yes! Okay. Creeping through the turn, but hey, no stall. Didn't leave the trail.
We altered the route a little bit, adding a little bit more trail to the loop, a bit of an incline and a little bit of a more difficult section. I'll show you that section coming up. And that ends the warm-up and the single track practice that we did at the beginning of the day and towards the end. At the very end, we topped off the day with a longer trail route right next to the US-Mexico border, and I will include that in a mostly unedited version in the next video. Thank you.